About a year and a half, President Obama and the House Speaker, John Boehner, came very, very close, tantalizingly close, to a grand bargain that would have reduced tax rates overall, but closed a lot of loopholes, raised a lot of money for the government to fund Medicare and Social Security, which combined with significant cuts across the board in entitlements and defense, or reduction in future spending in entitlement and defense, would solve the nation's fiscal problems for several decades. There was significant opposition on both sides, and at the last minute, John Boehner pulled out of the deal. Now, flash forward a year and a half, we just had an election where the voters made clear that they wanted a balanced approach. So now, today, we're back at the bargaining table, at least figuratively, with the leaders of both houses of Congress and the president putting out statements about the so-called fiscal cliff, which is the ultimate prod towards this kind of a grand bargain. January 1st, the Bush tax cuts are set to expire, which would raise taxes on everybody. There's also the one-year special 2% reduction in the payroll tax that will expire, which will also raise people's taxes. And there's a series of agreements on budget cuts, including a very draconian cut in the Defense Department that had been agreed to provisionally a year and a half ago that will also take effect on January 1st. It's far preferable, I think, for all concerned, and everybody recognizes it, to come up with a long-term spending plan now that will resolve a lot of these questions for a decade or more and spare the nation that one-time hit on January 1st. So the real question is, how close will they get to that agreement that they almost had a year and a half ago? I think the signs that we've seen over the last days since the election have been quite encouraging. Speaker Boehner has had a very, very different tone than he had a year and a half ago. He's acknowledged a willingness to raise revenues while saying that he's very uncomfortable with the idea of raising taxes on the rich. They're looking for other ways to do it. President Obama has sort of handed over to Congress the responsibility to do the initial negotiations. I think he's learned something from his last foray into this mess where he seemed to get his hands very dirty, and I think this time he wants to hold back and sort of be more of a sort of last-minute conciliator than he was a year and a half ago. But I think that all the signs are good for a grand bargain that will take a lot of pressure off of the federal budget, make a significant reduction in the annual deficit, help to ease some of the long-term debt fears, and protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid for future generations. I'm Peter Canellis for the Boston Globe.